The council chamber buzzed with the usual noise. Representatives from 43 different species filled the massive hall. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few glowed with their own light. The chamber floated in orbit around the capital world, and through the transparent dome stars sparkled against the darkness of space. Vexithara tapped her four-fingered hand on the podium. She was tall, with blue skin and eyes that could see in 12 different color ranges. As the council head, she had run these meetings for 20 years. Today should have been normal. They would discuss trade routes, argue about mineral rights, and vote on some new regulations. The same as always, but something felt wrong. Vexithara looked at the human section. 12 seats sat empty. The humans always arrived early. They were annoyingly punctual, always prepared with their data tablets and their endless questions. Ambassador Tejo would usually be there already, reviewing his notes and greeting other delegates. "Where are the humans?" asked Krell Representative Thune. His species looked like giant beetles with 6 arms. He clicked his mandibles in confusion. Vexithara waved her hand dismissively. "Probably running late. You know how they are. Always busy with something." But Gina, a communications officer at the council station, felt her stomach tighten. She was Vryn, a species that looked almost like Earth's lizards but walked upright and had advanced technology. Gina had worked with the humans for 5 years. She had human friends. They never just disappeared without warning. She checked her personal messages. Nothing from her friend Minho, the engineer who always sent her funny pictures before meetings. Nothing from Suji, who worked in the human diplomatic wing. Gina's clawed fingers moved quickly over her console, trying to reach any human contact. All of her messages bounced back. Connection failed. User unavailable. Council head. Gina's voice crackled over the intercom. "I cannot reach any human stations. All communications are down." The chamber went quiet. Vexithara's face showed irritation. "That's impossible. Check your equipment." "I have checked it 3 times, Gina replied. Her voice shook slightly. "Every human colony, every human ship, every human station." All silent. The delegates began talking at once. The Krell representative stood up, his 6 arms gesturing wildly. "This must be a technical problem. The humans run half our communication networks. Maybe there is a system failure." Vexithara called for order. "Send a ship to the nearest human colony. Check on them directly." A council security ship departed within the hour. It reached the human mining colony on Karis 9 in 40 minutes. The colony should have housed 12,000 humans and their families. The pilot sent back his report, and his voice carried confusion and fear. "The station is empty. Everything is powered down except basic life support. There are no humans here. No bodies, no signs of struggle. They just left. There are half-eaten meals in the cafeteria, personal belongings in the quarters, but no people." More reports came in over the next hour. Every single human outpost check showed the same thing: empty. The humans had packed their essential items and departed. They left behind their buildings, their equipment, and their infrastructure, but the people were gone. The Vryn intelligence network worked quickly. They had the best surveillance systems in the galaxy. Within 3 hours, they presented their findings to the emergency council session. The intelligence chief, a Vryn named Kess, displayed holographic images above the council floor. 72 hours ago, every human vessel departed simultaneously from their stations. Military ships, civilian transports, merchant vessels, everything. They moved in coordinated groups to the edge of explored space. Where did they go? Vexithara demanded, unknown. They entered an uncharted region beyond the outer rim. Our tracking systems lost them. It appears they used some kind of advanced technology we were not aware of. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some delegates accused the humans of betrayal. Others worried about war. The Krell representative shouted about abandoned trade agreements. The small species, those who depended on human protection, looked terrified. Vexithara called for silence again. Her voice boomed through the chamber. "This is clearly a misunderstanding. The humans have been our partners for 80 years. They help maintain peace. They provide technology and medicine. They would not just abandon us." But Gina, still at her communications post, found something. A message buried in the data logs. It was from Captain Yunho, the human fleet commander. He had sent it 3 days ago, but it was coded and delayed. She played it for the council. Yunho's face appeared in the hologram. He was a middle-aged man with gray in his hair and tired eyes. He wore a simple uniform. His voice was calm but firm. To the Galactic Council. By the time you hear this, we will be gone. We are not your enemies. We have not been destroyed. We have chosen to leave. For 80 years, we have served this council. We have protected the weak, mediated disputes, shared our technology, and asked for little in return. We requested full membership in the council. You denied us 17 times. We requested fair trade terms. You voted it down. We asked for immigration rights for our people. You tabled the discussion for decades. The hologram showed Yunho looking directly at the camera. We tried to warn you. We told you that peace requires respect, not just service. We showed you that partnerships must be equal. You treated us like useful tools instead of equals. So we are leaving. We are taking our ships, our people, and our knowledge. We are going somewhere we can build something better. He paused. Do not try to follow us. Do not try to bring us back with promises. We have heard your promises before. You will now face the galaxy we helped you maintain. You will learn what you have lost. Perhaps then you will understand the hologram ended. The council chamber sat in stunned silence. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The weight of Yunho's words hung in the air like a heavy fog. Vexthera finally found her voice. This cannot be happening. We need the humans. They run our medical systems. They maintain trade routes. They keep the peace between warring species. Thun, the Krell representative, spoke quietly. Perhaps that is exactly why they left. We needed them, but we never valued them. Gina looked at her console. She pulled up the council voting records from the past 80 years. The data was clear. 247 human proposals. All blocked or delayed. 89 human requests for assistance. Almost all denied. 12 major humanitarian missions led by humans. All investigated for suspected ulterior motives. She felt sick. They had taken everything from the humans and given nothing back. And now the humans were gone. The council session ended with no solutions. Delegates returned to their ships and their worlds. But everyone knew something fundamental had changed. The galaxy had lost its caretakers, and the reckoning was just beginning. Outside the station, Gina looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, the humans were starting over. And here, they would all have to learn how to survive without them. 3 weeks had passed since the humans disappeared. At first, many species thought life would continue normally. They were wrong. The first attack came on a Tuesday. The Kreeth Dominion, a militant species known for their aggressive expansion, struck a trade convoy in the Beller sector. 12 ships were destroyed. 300 traders from 5 different species died. It was the kind of attack that humans would have stopped before it even started. The Beller sector had been peaceful for 30 years.
Human patrol ships regularly moved through the area, their mere presence enough to discourage raiders.
Now those patrol ships were gone. The Kreeth saw opportunity. Ambassador Suji had been at the council station when the humans left. She was human, but she had chosen to stay behind with her Vryn husband. She was one of only 47 humans in the entire galaxy who remained. Most stayed because of family ties or medical conditions that made space travel dangerous. Suji stood before the emergency council session, her dark hair tied back, her face showing exhaustion. She had not slept well in weeks. The Kreeth will not stop with one attack. Without human peacekeepers, every protected trade route is now vulnerable. We need to deploy council forces immediately. Vexthara shook her head. That requires a vote. Each species must commit their military assets. That takes time. We do not have time, Suji said, her voice rising. People are dying right now. The vote was called. It failed. The Krell would not commit their ships. The Vryn needed their fleets for defense. The Threen claimed neutrality. Each species had reasons, excuses, concerns. The small species who needed protection most had no military to offer. Suji walked out of the chamber. She sent a message to the human fleet, hoping someone would respond. The message disappeared into space. No reply came back. The humans were truly gone. The economic problems started showing in the second week. The galaxy ran on complex trade networks. Goods moved from system to system, picked up, dropped off, and redistributed. Humans managed 78% of this system. They wrote the logistics software, ran the coordination centers, and operated the major shipping hubs. Without humans, the system began to fail. Ships arrived at stations expecting cargo that was not there. Medicine meant for plague colonies ended up at mining outposts. Food shipments spoiled because nobody knew the proper storage protocols. The humans had made it all look easy. Now everyone realized how complicated it actually was. The Vryn Empire faced a critical problem. Their power grid depended on fusion cores designed and maintained by human engineers. The cores were incredibly efficient and safe, but they required regular maintenance. The procedures were documented, but the documentation assumed a level of technical understanding that took years to develop. Engineer Minho had been the chief designer of these cores. He had worked for the Vryn government for 20 years. His research facility on Station Karis 9 had been abandoned when the humans left. Vryn scientists swarmed the facility trying to understand his work. They found rooms full of equipment they did not recognize. Computer systems with interfaces designed for human thinking patterns. Notes written in technical language so advanced that translation software could not handle it properly. One Vryn engineer spent 3 days trying to understand a single equation Minho had written. He finally gave up. Human innovation was not just about being smart, the Vryn engineer reported to his superiors. They thought differently. They saw connections we cannot see. They solved problems from angles we would never consider. We can copy their designs, but we cannot think like them. The first fusion core failed in the Vryn capital city. Power went out for 6 million people. Emergency generators kicked in, but they could only provide 30% of normal power. Hospitals went to backup systems. Food preservation units failed. 300 people died in the first week, mostly elderly and sick who depended on powered medical equipment. The Vryn tried to restart the core using Minho's procedures. They followed every step exactly. The core failed again. Something was missing. Some understanding that Minho possessed but had not written down because it seemed obvious to him. To the Vryn it was invisible. The council met again 4 weeks after the humans left. The chamber felt different now. Fear had replaced the usual confidence. Representatives who once argued about trivial matters now faced real crises. Accusations flew across the chamber. The Vryn blamed the Krell for voting down human labor protections, claiming it led to resentment. The Krell accused the Threen of blocking human immigration reforms. The Threen pointed at the Vryn for exploiting human technology without fair compensation. Vexithara tried to maintain order, but the truth was becoming clear to everyone. They were all guilty. Every species had benefited from human contributions while denying humans equal status. They had taken and taken without giving back. A young Krell researcher named Bon presented a report that made the situation even worse. Bon had studied human history and culture, trying to understand why they left. She had found Nari's journals. Nari had been a human cultural liaison officer. She married a Vryn scholar and worked to build understanding between species. She kept detailed journals of her experiences. Her family had left the journals behind when they departed, perhaps deliberately. Bon read passages to the council. Nari's words cut deep. Today, Taiho spent 18 hours mediating a border dispute between the Krell and the Threen. He prevented a war. Tomorrow the council will vote on whether to grant humans better trade terms. I know it will fail. It always fails. We save their lives and they give us bureaucracy. Another entry. A plague broke out on Vreen 4. Human doctors volunteered immediately. We lost 6 doctors treating patients. The council sent condolences but denied our request for hazard pay for the survivors. They say humans are adequately compensated. But Vryn doctors doing the same work earn 3 times what we do. And another. I treated a Krell child today. She had a genetic disorder that only human medicine could fix. Her parents cried with gratitude. Tonight the council voted down human immigration rights for the 17th time. How much longer can we keep giving to those who see us only as useful tools? The council chamber went silent as Bon read. Each entry revealed another instance of human sacrifice met with indifference. Medical breakthroughs shared freely while human colonies lacked basic supplies. Peacekeeping missions that saved millions while humans died protecting others. Innovations given to the galaxy while human requests for representation were ignored. Thune, the Krell representative, spoke quietly. We did not see them as people. We saw them as a resource. We were fools. Station Karis 9, Minho's research facility, began experiencing system failures. The station's AI was designed with human oversight. It made decisions based on human judgment patterns. Without humans to guide it, the AI began malfunctioning. Climate control systems failed in sections of the station. Water recycling became unreliable. The automated maintenance drones started performing tasks incorrectly. The station had been humanity's crown jewel, a center of research and innovation. Now it was slowly dying. The infrastructure problems spread across the galaxy. Communication networks designed by humans needed constant optimization. Without humans to manage them, bandwidth decreased and latency increased. Medical facilities using human technology found their equipment gradually degrading. Ships using human-designed faster-than-light drives experienced more failures. Everything the humans had built, maintained, and improved was slowly falling apart, and the galaxy was realizing that they did not know how to fix any of it. Suji watched all of this from her small apartment on the council station. Her husband held her as she cried. "They tried to tell us," she whispered. "For decades they tried. We just would not listen." She knew why the humans left. She understood their frustration, their exhaustion, their pain. What hurt most was knowing that she could not bring them back. They were gone, and they had every right to stay gone. Outside her window, space remained dark and endless. Somewhere out there, humanity was building a new future. Here, the galaxy they left behind was beginning to crumble. 6 months had passed since humanity departed. The galaxy was burning. The great trade wars began over a shipping route. The Vryn claimed the Deneb corridor had always belonged to them. The Krell insisted their ancestors had used it first. Before humans left, such disputes would go to mediation. Human diplomats would review historical records, talk to both sides, and find compromise. The process took weeks but prevented bloodshed. Now there were no mediators. Both sides sent military fleets. The first battle killed thousands. Neither side won, but both lost ships, resources, and people. The fighting spread to nearby systems. Other old grudges surfaced. The Threen and the Aldari had argued about a mineral-rich moon for a century. Humans had kept the peace by suggesting shared mining operations with fair profit division. Both species had accepted this solution. Now, without human oversight, each side accused the other of cheating. Fighting broke out on the moon's surface. Small species tried to stay neutral, but they suffered most. Refugee ships fled war zones and found no safe harbors. Pirate groups, once kept in check by human patrols, now attacked freely. Starvation spread as food shipments could not get through combat areas. The council met every week now, but meetings accomplished nothing. Representatives shouted at each other. Old alliances broke apart. New hatreds formed. Vexthara could barely maintain order. Her authority meant nothing when nobody wanted to cooperate. The council chamber itself showed the decay. Several species had withdrawn their ambassadors. Empty seats joined the 12 human chairs that had been vacant from the start. The once proud symbol of galactic unity was becoming a monument to failure. Gina had stopped working at the communications center. There was little point. Most species only contacted the council to blame others or demand help that would not come. She spent her time reading Nari's journals instead. The complete collection had been published on the Galactic Information Network. Billions of people across dozens of species were reading them. One entry described a rescue mission. A Threen colony ship had suffered engine failure in deep space. Human ships diverted from their routes to save them. It took 3 weeks. 2 human crew members died from radiation exposure during the repair work. The Threen survivors were grateful. They wrote letters of thanks. They promised to honor the sacrifice. But in the council, Threen representatives voted against human requests for better safety regulations. They claimed the proposed rules would hurt the economy. The humans who died saving Threen colonists received no official recognition. Their families got standard death benefits, nothing more. Another entry told of Minho's work developing a cure for Vryn genetic disorder. The condition affected 1 in every 1,000 Vryn births. Children born with it rarely lived past age 10. Minho spent 5 years on the problem. He worked night shifts after his regular duties. He used his own money for some of the research. His cure saved hundreds of thousands of Vryn children. The Vryn government gave him an award and a small bonus. They patented his cure and sold it across the galaxy, earning billions. Minho received none of those profits. When he asked for funding for human medical research, his request was denied. The Vryn government said they had budget limitations. Nari's journal entry from that time. Minho told me today he feels like a machine that produces solutions. They wind him up, he solves their problems, and they put him back on the shelf until they need him again. I see him breaking. I see all of us breaking. How long can we give pieces of ourselves to people who see us as tools? The historical archives revealed patterns that made the situation even clearer. Over 80 years, humans had led 372 humanitarian missions. They responded to every disaster, every plague, every crisis. They asked nothing in return but fair treatment. The council record showed what humans received for their service. Out of 247 human proposals, the council approved only 9. Those 9 were minor administrative changes. Every significant request was blocked, delayed, or ignored. Requests for full council membership, immigration reform, trade equality, and worker protections all failed. A young historian named Hess published a comprehensive study. Hess was Aldari, a species that looked like tall, thin birds. His report spread across the galaxy. The humans were not our partners, Hess wrote. They were our servants, and we convinced ourselves this was fair. We told ourselves that humans benefited from galactic technology and trade. But analysis shows humans gave far more than they received. They paid for membership in our civilization with their labor, their innovation, and their lives. We accepted their payment and gave them contempt in return. The medical crisis deepened. Human doctors had developed treatments for 37 different alien diseases. The treatments required specific knowledge that only humans possessed. Medical texts existed, but they assumed a baseline understanding of human medical philosophy. That philosophy was not about memorizing procedures but understanding the logic behind them. A plague hit the Krell homeworld. The disease was not new. Human doctors had treated it successfully for decades. Krell medical teams tried to replicate the human treatment. They followed every documented step. The treatment failed. Patients died by the thousands. A retired human doctor named Hannah had stayed behind because of her age. She could not handle the journey with her people. She lived quietly on a Krell colony. When she heard about the plague, she contacted the Krell government. "I can help," she said. "I know how to treat this disease." The Krell were desperate. They brought her to their home world. Hannah walked through hospitals full of dying patients. She showed Krell doctors what they were doing wrong. It was not in the procedures themselves, but in the tiny adjustments needed for each patient. Humans called it intuition, but it was really pattern recognition developed over years of practice. "You are following a recipe," Hannah told the Krell doctors. "But medicine is not cooking. Every patient is different. You must see the person, not just the disease." Hannah saved thousands of lives. The Krell offered her anything she wanted. She asked them to send a message to the human fleet, wherever they were. She asked her people to share medical knowledge properly, with the understanding that knowledge alone was not enough. The message was sent. No response came back. Station Keras 9 deteriorated further. The AI managing the station had been designed to work with human supervisors. It made decisions assuming humans would catch errors and provide guidance. Without that guidance, the AI's decisions became increasingly strange. It heated sections of the station to dangerous temperatures while leaving others freezing. It produced oxygen in some areas while letting others run low. It allocated resources based on patterns that made no sense. The few scientists remaining on the station worked constantly just to prevent catastrophic failure. One Vrin engineer proposed shutting down the AI and running systems manually. Another engineer ran calculations and realized manual control would require 300 trained operators working around the clock. They had 47 people on the entire station. The AI was failing, but it was all that kept them alive. Minho designed this system to be perfect, the engineer said, but his perfection required humans to guide it. Without them, his masterpiece is becoming our tomb. The agricultural crisis hit the Vrin Empire particularly hard. Human engineers had developed advanced terraforming technology. They turned dead worlds into gardens. Billions of Vrin lived on these terraformed planets. The systems needed regular maintenance and adjustment. Without humans, the terraforming systems began degrading. Weather patterns destabilized. Crops failed. Water recycling systems became less efficient. The Vrin had documentation on how everything worked, but they did not understand the underlying principles. They could fix small problems but not prevent them from happening. Counselor Do-hyun's final transmission before leaving had been preserved. Someone found it and released it to the public. Do-hyun had been the human liaison to the Agricultural Committee. His words hit hard. "We built you paradise and asked only for respect. You could not even give us that. You thanked us for solving your problems, then denied us the right to solve our own. You praised our sacrifices, then sacrificed us on the altar of your politics. We are leaving. When your gardens die, remember that we offered to teach you how to maintain them. You said you did not need teachers. You needed servants. Now you have neither. The economic damage was calculated at 78 trillion credits and rising. The military losses from various conflicts exceeded 5 million dead. 37 colonies had been abandoned due to infrastructure failure or war. The galactic trade volume was at 34% of pre-human levels. More importantly, trust was dead. Species that had coexisted peacefully for decades now viewed each other with suspicion. The unity that humans had maintained through endless effort had shattered. Suji stood in her apartment and looked at old pictures. She saw herself standing next to Tai-Ho at a council function, both of them smiling, both believing they were building something good. She remembered feeling proud to serve, proud to represent humanity's values. Now she understood what Tai-Ho must have felt. The exhaustion of giving everything and receiving nothing. The pain of watching friends sacrifice themselves for people who saw them as useful tools. The council made the decision 8 months after humanity's departure. They would send a search expedition. Find the humans, apologize, negotiate, promise real change this time. Bring them back before everything collapsed completely. Captain Jiho was chosen to lead the mission. He was human, one of the few who remained. Jiho had been on a deep space exploration mission when the exodus happened. By the time his ship returned, his people were gone. He was 60 years old, a career military officer with gray hair and a weathered face. I will find them, Jiho told the council, but I cannot promise they will listen. The council gave him their fastest ship and a crew of volunteers from different species. Each crew member had worked closely with humans. Each one understood what the galaxy had lost. They departed from the council station with messages of apology from every major species. The search took them to the edge of explored space. The coordinates where the human fleet had last been detected. Empty space greeted them. No ships, no debris, no signs of where humanity had gone. Jiho ordered a comprehensive scan. The sensors picked up something strange. A beacon floating in space, transmitting a weak signal. The crew retrieved the beacon. It was human technology, clearly placed deliberately. Jiho activated it. A holographic message appeared. Admiral Hana stood before them, her expression calm but firm. Jiho recognized her immediately. Hana had been commander of the human defense fleet for 20 years. If you are seeing this message, you have come looking for us, Hana's image said. You will want us to return. You will promise changes. You will tell us that things will be different. We have heard these promises before. For 80 years we heard them. Nothing ever changed. She paused, looking directly at the camera. We are not hiding from you out of fear. We are not running from conflict. We are simply done. Done being useful tools. Done sacrificing ourselves for those who cannot see our value. Done waiting for respect that will never come. The hologram showed star charts. We have found worlds beyond your borders. Worlds you never explored because you relied on us to do your exploring. We have discovered technology you never developed because you relied on us to do your inventing. We are building something new. A society where contribution is valued, where different is not weak, where partnership means equality. Hana's expression softened slightly. Do not think we hate you. We do not. We are simply exhausted. You will search for us because you need us. But we do not need you anymore. We needed you to see us as equals. You could not do that. So we left. The hologram showed coordinates. These will lead you to a network of wormholes. We created this technology decades ago. You never knew because we kept some things to ourselves. We knew one day we might need to leave quickly. That day came. The wormholes are collapsed behind us. Do not waste time trying to reconstruct them. The mathematics alone would take you centuries to understand. Hana looked tired in the recording, sad but resolved. Face your reckoning. Learn to solve your own problems. Stop expecting others to save you while giving nothing in return. Perhaps in a few centuries, when you have learned what we tried to teach you, we will talk again. Until then, this is goodbye. Take care of yourselves. We cannot do it anymore, the message ended. The crew sat in silence. Jiho felt a heavy weight in his chest. He knew Hana was right. Every word she said was justified. He had seen the treatment humans received. He had watched friends grow bitter and exhausted. He understood why they left. The crew examined the coordinates Hana provided. The wormhole network was indeed collapsed. Residual energy signatures showed where the tunnels had existed, but the tunnels themselves were gone. The human fleet could be anywhere. Millions of light years away in any direction in unexplored space. They spent 2 weeks searching nearby systems. They found nothing. No traces, no clues, no trails to follow. Humanity had vanished completely. They had planned this for years, maybe decades. Every detail had been considered. They did not want to be found. Jiho made one last attempt. He recorded a message and transmitted it in all directions, using every frequency humans might monitor. He spoke from his heart. To my people wherever you are. This is Captain Jiho. I understand why you left. I see what was done to you. I see the disrespect, the ingratitude, the exploitation. You were right to go. But please consider this. There are good people here. Species who valued you. Individuals who fought for you. The galaxy is dying without you, but more importantly, innocent people are suffering. Not the politicians who failed you. Not the council members who ignored you. Regular people, children, the sick, the weak. They need help. He paused, choosing his words carefully. I am not asking you to come back. I am asking you to send us your knowledge. Teach us what we need to know to survive. Not for the council's sake, for the sake of those who never hurt you. And maybe someday if we prove we have changed, we can talk again. As equals. As real partners. Jiho transmitted the message and waited. Days passed. No response came. He eventually ordered the ship to return home. The search had failed. The crew returned to the council station after 3 months. Jiho delivered his report. The council chamber listened in devastated silence as he played Hana's message. When it ended, nobody spoke for several minutes. Finally, Vexthera asked the question everyone was thinking. Can we rebuild the wormhole technology? Track them somehow? Jiho shook his head. The mathematics involved are beyond anything we understand. Our best physicists estimate it would take 200 years just to grasp the basic principles. And that assumes we can figure it out at all. This was technology humans developed in secret over decades. We do not even know where to start. A Threen counselor stood up. Then we must accept they are gone. We must focus on survival. How? Thune asked bitterly. How do we survive when everything is falling apart? Our infrastructure is failing. Our economies are collapsing. We are at war with each other. The humans held it all together, and we never even noticed until they left. While the search expedition was away, things had gotten worse. The Vrinkrell conflict expanded to 6 systems. Casualties reached 3 million. Neither side could claim victory, but both sides refused to negotiate. Without human mediators, neither could trust the other to honor any agreement. Medical facilities across the galaxy reported critical supply shortages. Human-developed medicines were running out. Pharmaceutical companies tried to manufacture more but lacked the expertise. 3 separate attempts to replicate human drugs resulted in products that did not work or, worse, caused harmful side effects. Clone facilities, which used human genetic engineering techniques, began experiencing high failure rates. Clones emerged with genetic defects. The facilities shut down rather than produce damaged clones. Billions of credits and infrastructure became useless. Station Karis 9 was evacuated. The AI had become too unstable. The remaining scientists fled before the station killed them. Humanity's greatest research facility, abandoned and dying, drifted in orbit around a dead planet, a monument to what was lost. Suji received a personal message. It came through a channel she thought was long dead, an old encryption code that she and her sister used to use. Her sister had left with the human fleet. Suji opened the message with shaking hands. The message was brief. We are safe. We are building something beautiful. I miss you, but I do not regret leaving. Tell them we are watching. Tell them we see their struggles. Tell them that knowledge cannot be given, only earned. They must learn. They must grow. When they are ready, when they have become people worthy of partnership, we will consider contact. Not before. I love you, goodbye, Suji cried when she read it. Her sister was alive and happy. But she was unreachable. The galaxy could fall completely, and the humans would not come back. Why would they? This galaxy had taken everything from them and given nothing back. The council began emergency reforms. They drafted new laws on species equality. They created programs to share technology and resources fairly. They established mediation protocols for disputes, all the things humans had requested for decades. But it was too late. The laws could not bring back the dead. The programs could not fix broken infrastructure. The protocols meant nothing when species would not talk to each other. They were treating symptoms while the disease consumed them. Jiho spent his remaining days teaching. He gathered young people from different species and taught them human problem-solving methods. He showed them how humans approached challenges. Think creatively, question assumptions, value different perspectives, work together, stay humble. Some students listened, some learned, but it was slow. Changing the thinking of entire civilizations took generations. They did not have generations. They had years, maybe months, before complete collapse. The beacon in deep space continued transmitting Hana's message, a reminder of what was lost. A warning about the cost of taking others for granted. Ships passing through the area would detect it and hear her words. Some captains stopped to listen. Some cried. Some got angry. All of them understood the same truth. The humans were not coming back. The galaxy would have to save itself, or watch itself burn. 2 years had passed since humanity departed. The Galactic Council chamber looked like a shadow of its former self. Half the seats sat empty. Some species had withdrawn completely. Others sent representatives but gave them no real authority. The grand building that once symbolized unity now represented failure. Vexithara stood trial for negligence. The charges were serious. She had ignored early warnings. She had dismissed human concerns for decades. She had failed to maintain galactic stability. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Delegates from 30 species testified. The evidence was overwhelming. The tribunal found her guilty. She was removed from office and banned from any council position. But the punishment felt meaningless. Civilization was burning. Punishing one person did not fix anything. The Great Collapse was complete. The Vryn-Krell conflict had settled into an exhausted stalemate. Neither side won. Both sides lost millions of lives and countless resources. 6 colonized systems were now war zones where nobody could live safely. Trade between Vryn and Krell worlds stopped completely. 14 colonies had been abandoned due to disease or starvation. The medical crisis continued. Without human expertise, treatments for 37 diseases were no longer available. Millions died. The survivors could only watch helplessly. The economy operated at 34% of pre-human levels. Unemployment was catastrophic across multiple species. Food shippages reached critical points in outer systems. Pirates controlled large sections of space that human patrols once protected. Refugee ships wandered between systems, finding no safe harbor. But something else was happening. Something small but significant. A new generation was rising. Young aliens who had studied under humans, who had worked alongside them, who had understood their value from the start. These young people had watched their elders destroy everything through arrogance and greed. They were determined not to repeat those mistakes. A Vryn engineer named Kess was 24 years old. She had studied under Minho before he left. She understood only a fraction of what he knew, but she understood something more important. She understood his teaching philosophy. Do not just memorize solutions. Understand problems. Think creatively. Value different perspectives. Kess gathered other young engineers. They formed a collective that included Vryn, Krell, Threen, and Aldari members. Working together, they managed to stabilize 3 fusion cores on the Vryn homeworld. The cores still failed more often than when Minho maintained them, but they failed less often than before. "We are not trying to be human," Kess told her team. "We are trying to learn what they tried to teach us. Think differently. Work together. Stay humble." A young Krell diplomat named Wen proposed a radical idea. Instead of the old council structure where large species had all the power, create a new system. Every species gets equal representation. Every voice gets heard. Decisions require consensus, not just majority vote. Make partnership real instead of just a word. The old guard hated the idea. They called it impractical. They said small species could not understand complex issues. They argued that it would slow everything down. The same arguments they had used against human proposals for decades. But the young people pushed forward. They called it the Compact of Equals. 37 species signed it in the first year. It was not the whole galaxy, but it was a start. The Compact members began rebuilding trade networks using principles of fair exchange. Goods moved slower than in human-managed systems, but they moved reliably. Medical professionals who had trained with humans formed teaching hospitals. They could not replicate human expertise, but they could pass on what they had learned. The teaching methods were different. Less about memorizing procedures, more about understanding principles. Less about individual achievement, more about collaboration. Dr. Hana, the elderly human who stayed behind, became the most important person in galactic medicine. She was 83 years old now and in poor health. She knew she did not have much time left. She spent every remaining day teaching. "You want me to give you solutions," she told a class of young alien doctors. "But I cannot give you human intuition. I can only teach you to develop your own. Watch patients carefully, question your assumptions, learn from failures. Medicine is not a science you master. It is an art you practice forever." Her students spread across the galaxy. They saved lives, not as many as human doctors would have saved, but enough to matter. They established clinics using human principles. Free treatment for those who could not pay. Focus on prevention, not just cures. Value every life equally. The agricultural crisis forced innovation. Without human terraforming maintenance, several worlds were becoming uninhabitable. Young scientists studied Minho's work desperately. They failed repeatedly, but each failure taught them something. A breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A Threen botanist realized they were approaching the problem wrong. They were trying to maintain human systems using human methods, but they were not human. They needed to adapt the technology to their own thinking. The new terraforming protocols were less efficient than human designs. They required more energy and more maintenance, but they worked with alien understanding instead of against it. 3 worlds were saved from environmental collapse. It was not enough to solve the crisis, but it proved improvement was possible. The Compact of Equals created protection fleets modeled on human peacekeeping doctrine. Small fleets with representatives from multiple species. Their mission was to protect, not conquer. Stop piracy, prevent attacks, maintain safe passage for refugees and traders. The fleets were not as effective as human patrols. They arrived too late sometimes. They failed to prevent some attacks, but they were present. They tried. Slowly, over months, some trade routes became safer. Progress was painful and slow. What humans accomplished effortlessly required massive coordinated effort. One human engineer could solve problems that now required teams of 30 aliens working for weeks. One human diplomat could prevent wars that now required months of careful negotiation and compromise. But they were learning, not just technical knowledge, but deeper lessons. Value cooperation over competition. Respect differences instead of fearing them. Give credit where due. Share benefits fairly. The lessons humanity had tried to teach them through example, they were finally learning through suffering. On the 2nd anniversary of humanity's departure, the Compact held a memorial. Not for the dead, but for the lost. They gathered at Station Karis 9, now slowly being rebuilt. Young engineers worked to restore it not as it was, but as something new. A symbol of rebirth. They erected monuments on former human colony worlds. Each monument carried the same inscription in every galactic language. Here live those who gave everything and asked only for respect. We failed them. We will honor their memory by becoming worthy of their example. The Council established the Day of Silence, 24 hours when all compact species stopped their normal activities. They remembered what they lost and why. They reflected on their failures. They recommended themselves to doing better. Suji's daughter Mireille addressed the gathering. She was 16 years old, half human and half Vrin. She had never met most of her mother's people. They left when she was 14. She looked like a Vrin but had her mother's eyes and her mother's determination. "My mother left me her journals," Miri said to the assembled crowd. "I have read them many times. One entry haunts me. She wrote it days before the Exodus. She said, 'I hope they learn. I hope the cost is not too high. I hope someday when we are ready to meet again, they will be people we can respect as they should have respected us.'" Mirai looked at the faces watching her. Vrin, Krell, Threen, Aldari, and dozens of other species, young and old. My mother stayed behind because of me. I was too young to travel. She chose to be separated from her people so I could grow up safely. That is who humans were. They sacrificed themselves for others, even for those who did not appreciate them. She paused, emotion thick in her voice. I grew up watching this galaxy fall apart. I saw species who worked together peacefully for decades start killing each other. I saw technology fail and people die. I saw the consequences of taking humans for granted. But I also see something else. I see young people trying to do better. I see species learning to work together. I see change happening slowly. Mireille touched the monument behind her. The humans are watching us. My mother told me that. They are waiting to see if we can learn, if we can become people worthy of partnership. We have a long way to go, but at least we are trying now. The beacon at the edge of explored space updated that day. It did every year, on the anniversary of departure. The same simple message appeared. We are watching. We are waiting. Prove you have changed. The compact sent a response as they did every year. A comprehensive report on everything accomplished. New laws passed. Reforms implemented. Lives saved. Conflicts resolved. Progress made. They sent data, testimonies, and heartfelt apologies. The response that came back was the same as always. Not yet. 2 words. But this year something was different. The message included a timestamp showing when it was sent. The humans had received the report and responded within hours. They were paying attention. They were engaged. They had not given up on the galaxy completely. Young Kess, the Vrin engineer, analyzed the timestamp data.